So where did the original idea came from? I mean, it's very intense and riveting.
Thank you. Yeah, I read an article with a Danish officer going on his third tour to Afghanistan, and he said, "I'm not afraid of getting killed down there. I'm afraid of getting prosecuted when I get back home because of the rules of engagement were changing." And that for me was so complex and such a shock to hear that statement. So I knew there was a story there to be told. So that became the starting point. And then I would just go out and talk to a lot of soldiers, a lot of relatives, and try to understand how this. I was afraid of making a film where I would make reference to other war films instead of making reference to reality. So I went out to the real world and spent a lot of hours talking to these people and trying to understand the logic of their worlds, their fears, their nightmares, their joys, and see if I could understand it and get it down on paper.
Now, speaking of other war movies, there's a ton of war movies out there, and each director has their own style for authenticity. How did you approach that authenticity of war?
Often you will see explosions that are larger in films than they would be in real life. Often the sound of shots sounds way too dramatic in film. I think that the thrill of the realism is that everything sounds a bit different, and it's more low-key, and it's much more dust and dirt and smoke than it's fire. And I love that. I love to find the visuals and the realism to see how it works. The American documentary Restrepo meant a lot because for me that was the first time where I actually could go and see exactly what it would look like.
Your ending could have gone in any direction, without any spoiling, of course. What kind of mood or setting that you wanted to do with that ending?
I wanted the audience not to know where this is going. I think that the reality of real life is that we never know how it's going to go. And often, if we become slaves to a plot, we will be able to, guess what's going to happen. In this case, I wanted a situation where nobody knew what was going to happen. And I never gave the actors the last 5 pages. So nobody but me and the judge knew what was going to happen, which means that everybody was surprised in the courtroom when we actually end as we end. And that gave a crispness. I wanted the audience, I wanted the situation to be able to go in both directions at the end. Basically because I wasn't sure, and the judge wasn't sure. Nobody was sure about what could happen, and she could justify both endings. So that was the point, yeah, to keep the audience in the darkness.